First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
With an Ebola case in Texas, the U.S. is now warning Americans not to travel to Western Africa. That's our top story for Thursday, October 2nd. I'm Taylor Nunez.
And I'm Chloe Craig. With the first confirmed case of Ebola and an advisory on flights to Africa, some travelers are worried about American flights. NBC's Steve Handelsman has more.
The risk of infection while flying is low because even a passenger who's coming down with Ebola is not infectious until they have symptoms like a fever, says Dr. Anthony Fauci of NIH.
And you have to be sick in order to transmit it to someone.
Even if someone becomes sick during the flight, to catch their Ebola, you would have to contact their vomit, blood, or sweat. The virus is not transmitted like flu through droplets in the air. To keep Ebola patients off of planes, passengers are being screened for fever as they leave the affected West African nations. But the man with Ebola in Texas flew his last leg domestically from Washington Dulles to Dallas, and airline stocks are affected.
Although there's no indication that Ebola can be spread through an airline ventilation system, stocks did drop yesterday on exactly those concerns.
Passengers at BWI today.
I went in the ladies' room and I didn't touch anything.
I feel okay. I feel confident that it's not something that I have to worry about.
But flight attendants are more alert now.
During the boarding process, we're extra vigilant to look out for any signs of symptoms.
What could travelers do to lower their risk?
You don't really need to do anything to minimize it. If the person is not symptomatic, they're not going to transmit it.
And Fauci says flying is safe. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Washington.
The CDC reiterates the spread of Ebola requires a transfer of bodily fluids, and just being in a room or plane near someone with the disease is not automatically dangerous. Today, Gainesville City Commission meeting took a detour from their agenda to the controversial narrowing of Northwest 8th Avenue, an experiment which has lasted many months. A resident who does not like the reduced lanes asked whose idea was it anyways. That set off finger pointing at everyone who touched last year's decision: city staff, a consultant, the city manager, and the divided city commission.
And all I heard was eliminate one of two lanes. And I said, well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I have never gotten the best recommendation for this avenue in 3 years of trying.
Would it change anyone's opinion if they found out the actual number of bicyclists have declined since we've narrowed the roads?
Commissioner Wells is talking about some things that we might not have seen, and I'm absolutely open to looking at those things as well. So look forward to November. Get your tickets early.
That final comment was a reference to their tentative plan to schedule another formal debate on 8th Avenue sometime in November.
About 20 people slept inside for the first time last night at Grace Marketplace in Gainesville. The homeless shelter has a pavilion that has been housing the homeless, but because of funding, the shelter asked residents to move out. Their options included getting their own tent to live in outside, wait on a donated tent, or volunteer at the shelter for a spot to live inside.
We don't have the funds to staff the area that we're using with the pavilion as well as the area we're using for the shelter. So in order to do what we had to do for the contract, which is open the shelter, we had to move the staff who would have been watching over the pavilion to the other side of campus.
The pavilion is expected to close tomorrow.
The Florida Department of Children and Families is out with a preliminary report on the murders in Bell, Florida.
The report confirms that there were concerns about the children's welfare years before the killings.
WUFT's Nicole Acevedo is here with us. Nicole, what's going on?
Guys, DCF says there is now no way anyone could have predicted that Don Spirit would have killed his 6 grandchildren and his daughter, but the report does note a number of incidents in the last 8 years that there would have been signs of abuse and neglect in the kids. DCF has been called to the Spirit home 18 times since 2006 after they were notified of inadequate food supplies and supervision, environmental hazards, and even bone fractures among some of the children. A majority of those investigators were later closed without finding any urgent danger to the children, so DCF did not remove the kids from their mother's care or from their grandfather's home. When asked about the report, State Representative Keith Perry told me he was not happy with the way DCF handled this case and he wants a further investigation.
So I think we need to dig deeper. We need to find out who did what. And I know the governor's asked for it, and I hope that we go a little deeper than this last DCF report. Whether it's supervisors, whether it's people in contact, things did not happen the way they should have happened.
DCF did announce a 5-point plan to try to improve its handling of the complex family situations and the urgency of its response time. The agency hopes it will identify cases where DCF action might prevent violence, but that plan may not be enough. Representative Perry plans to meet with Governor Rick Scott to talk other lawmakers about their oversight of DCF. To read the preliminary report for yourself, there is a link at WUFT.org.
A mailed campaign ad urging people to vote by mail troubled some Alachua County voters last week. The Let's Get to Work campaign mailed thousands of brochures saying Florida residents should have already received their absentee ballots for next month's election. However, Florida law does not permit absentee ballots to be mailed domestically until September 30th. With the mailer causing alarm and confusion, the Alachua County Supervisor of Elections Office has received 100 phone calls a day from concerned voters.
Many of the supervisors of elections have been seeing the same kind of call increases that we've been seeing. So it seems to be a multi-county or statewide mail out.
If you want to vote by mail rather than through early voting or visiting your precinct on Election Day, absentee ballots can still be requested up to 6 days before the election.
It certainly felt like summer here in North Central Florida with hot and muggy conditions all around.
And some places are even seeing some rain. UF forecaster Brittany Van Voorhees is in the Weather Center right now tracking where these areas of rains are now.
Taylor, Chloe, we have not seen that many showers and thunderstorms pop up today here in Alachua County, and that trend will continue throughout most of the afternoon hours. If you take a look at our current UF live cam, you can see that there are no showers and thunderstorms in the sky, lots of cloud cover, 89 degrees currently and a heat index near 94. However, if you take a look at storm track radar, we can see a couple showers have popped up near Cedar Key and some in northeast Marion County. However, those showers and thunderstorms will dissipate by 8 p.m. 77 by 8 p.m., 72 by midnight, 68 by 4 a.m. And coming up in my full weather forecast, I'll tell you how cool it's going to be this weekend. Back to you.
The Gainesville Police Department made an appearance at the City Commission meeting today to talk about expanding a program to help women defend themselves. Intensive classes that teach rape, aggression, defense, or RAD, have been around for a while, but with the recent attacks on and near UF's campus, the demand is up. Currently, there is only one city police officer trained to give the class, but as GPD explained to the commissioners, they are currently training more officers in hopes of expanding the program. The next free GPD class will begin its training on October 5th. Local animal rights activists gathered at the University of Florida's Beef Processing Center today to protest the slaughterhouse. The protest was part of a series of international demonstrations for World Day for Farmed Animals, but this was the only protest in North Central Florida. The farm animals rights movement chose this slaughterhouse because of its close proximity to a university and a sizable population. Their goal is to bring attention to animal treatment in commercial facilities.
The animals, as they're transported to slaughter, are denied food and water. They're not allowed to have any food or water as they're transported because they are treated as commodities instead of living beings.
Sanders hopes to also raise awareness about how the animal agriculture industry affects the environment. Businesses in Columbia County will take part in an initiative to protect the Ichetucknee Springs by conserving water. The initiative provides cost-share rebates to local businesses to replace an estimated 600 plumbing fixtures with high-efficiency units. The project is estimated to save 32 million gallons per year, benefiting the Ichetucknee Springs and other springs in the lower Santa Fe River. However, more than just the springs are set to benefit from this new initiative.
Conservation's the right thing to do. It not only protects our natural systems, it stretches our water supplies, and it also helps those businesses that take advantage of this. If they have a water bill every month, once they put in the low flow fixtures for the same usage, we could expect they would see a lower water bill.
The project will cost $350,000. It's funded by the state, the water management district, and local businesses.
Stay with us for much more news. After multiple security breaches, President Obama's Secret Service director has resigned.
And a virus affecting hundreds of children across America is now being blamed for some deaths. Those stories are coming up after the break.